This is going to be my recap of La Casa de Papel or Money Heist. But before we begin, I want to apologize for my pronunciation throughout the video. Lo siento. I'm just playing. But for real, I'm sorry. Alright, let's go! Season 1 starts with a guy by the name of the Professor, who recruits a group of criminals in order to help him rob the Royal Mint of Spain. But before robbing the Royal Mint, the Professor gave them 3 rules and taught them for 5 months. The rules are no names, no relationships, and no backstories. Because of the rule of no names, they're all given names of cities. We have Tokyo, Rio, Berlin, Nairobi, Helsinki, Oslo, Moscow, and Denver. Denver is Moscow's son, and Oslo and Helsinki are practically brothers. That being said, while there for 5 months, Tokyo quickly broke the other 2 rules. She asked almost everybody about their past, including Nairobi, who tells her that she's doing the heist in order to see her son again. Tokyo also gets in a relationship with Rio. Anyways, the plan for the heist is to bunker themselves in with the hostages and buy as much time as possible in order to print as many bills as possible. The ultimate goal of 2.7 billion euros. When they get inside the mint and start carrying out their plan, found out that one of the hostages by the name of Monica is pregnant and wants an abortion pill. But Denver convinces her not to take it because he was also going to be aborted by his mother. But thanks to this infuriating guy by the name of Arturo, who is also the reason why Monica is pregnant, because he was cheating on his wife with Monica, gets caught with a cell phone and her execution is ordered by Berlin, leader of the group while inside the mint, since the Professor stayed out in order to buy them more time by distracting the police. Anyways, Denver is unable to kill Monica, so he shoots her in the leg to fake her death. The two also fall in love with each other while in hiding. Meanwhile, Rio and Tokyo are getting a name upgrade from Rio and Tokyo to Dumb and Dumber because they can't seem to make any smart decisions. I can argue that most of the problems in the heist are because of them and Arturo the Insufferable, who time and time again proves that at the very least he should be murdered. It is because he leads an escape that causes Oslo to take heavy damage to the head, and while all that's happening inside the mint, outside of it, the Professor forms a relationship with the inspector by the name of Raquel. She is also in charge of negotiations with the people inside the mint. But with the relationship between Raquel and the Professor, under the alias of Salva, he gets information about their investigation and uses that information to buy his team more time. And the whole team also finds out that Berlin only has about 7 months to live. With season 2, after the escape of some of the prisoners and the damage Oslo took to the head, had essentially become a vegetable, which leaves Helsinki with the hard choice of having to kill Oslo, which he did. So, rest in peace Oslo. In the meantime, Tokyo betrays Berlin because she wants to be the leader of the group. But Berlin, being Berlin, makes easy work of Tokyo and then sends her out to the police. It really upsets Rio because that's his girlfriend. So the Professor quickly breaks Tokyo out of prison. But instead of waiting for the Professor like she was told, she had to prove why she's part of the Dumb and Dumber duo by driving straight back into the mint under heavy fire, which causes Moscow to get hit while covering her. And with Moscow on his deathbed, Denver and the gang rush to complete the tunnel for their escape. But in the meantime, Raquel catches on to who the Professor really is. We find out that his real name is actually Sergio. Tells her that he actually fell in love with her and he escapes. Police then, believing that Raquel is compromised, take her off the case, and she goes to stop the Professor on her own because she's actually really good at her job. After Raquel and the Professor have another heart-to-heart, Raquel decides to help the Professor, then go back to inside the mint where right before Denver and the gang complete the tunnel, Moscow dies of his injuries, and the police sends in a team to stop the gang once and for all. But the gang manages to escape with 900 million euros, thanks to Berlin staying back and sacrificing himself, which crushes the Professor because we find out that Berlin was his brother. So, rest in peace Berlin. And thanks to Berlin buying them extra time, with the help of Raquel, they all manage to escape with the money. Raquel and the Professor also meet up later in the Philippines. Season 3 starts with the Professor telling the team what to do now that they escaped. She gave them all detailed plans on what to do, and gave them one major rule to follow, which was no cell phones. But after about a year, Dumb and Dumber really proved why they deserved the name Dumb and Dumber. See, Rio bought cell phones off the black market and gave one to Tokyo, using the cell phones to call each other. Police quickly caught Rio, but Tokyo escaped. Tokyo then finds the Professor and asks him to help rescue Rio. The Professor then gets the team back together in order to rob the Bank of Spain in honor of his brother Berlin, since it was his plan before he died. He also planned to use the robbery as a way to get Rio back out of prison. Speaking of Rio, who after getting captured for the last 2 months has been getting tortured, is a pregnant lady by the name of Alicia. Anyways, the Professor recruits a couple of new faces to help him with his heist, including Bogota, Palermo, and Julia. In the heist, Palermo is supposed to be the leader of the group, and Julia, who's the goddaughter of Moscow, rest in peace, is supposed to be an undercover hostage that only Denver and the Professor know about. Monica, Denver's wife, who's also now part of the team, goes by the name of Stockholm. Raquel also gets a city name by the name of Lisbon. Their goal this time is to melt all the gold that's in the bank into little pieces for easier transportation. Heist goes down the same way the first heist went down. They captured the hostages and bunkered themselves inside the bank, and everything goes well until the police enlist the help of Alicia. And also, Arturo throws himself into the bank, hoping to be a hero once again because he gained a lot of success from the last heist, writing a book and having a talk show. Anyways, Alicia does 3 major things while she's there. The first thing she does is release Rio, even though they implanted a tracking device into him. The second thing is faking Raquel or Lisbon's death after she gets captured by the police while on the run with the Professor, which absolutely crushes the Professor because at the time he didn't know that she wasn't dead. The third major thing that Julia did was bring out Nairobi's son, who was taken away from her. This forces Nairobi to a window, which she then orders a sniper to shoot her, which fatally wounds Nairobi. Before the season ends, it's also important to note that Gandia, governor's security guard, is a very dangerous man, but our team captured him and his crew and tied them up in the lobby. We also find out that Bogota is in love with Nairobi, Nairobi is in love with Helsinki, Helsinki is in love with Palermo, and Palermo is in love with Berlin. Season 4 opens with the gang in Tokyo trying to patch up Nairobi, and Tokyo seizing the position of leader from Palermo Palermo. After overthrowing Palermo, they tie him up because he also wanted to leave. Palermo then goes
I'm always angry.
and tells Gandia how to escape, which he does. Rio sees Gandia escaping, but he's unable to stop him because he's traumatized from his torture, which was carried out by Alicia. Gandia then makes it into a panic room and contacts the police, who then basically tell him if he wants to kill everybody in there, excluding the hostages in the name of self-defense, he can. He then captures Tokyo and then holds Nairobi hostage, who is also recovering from a gunshot wound. While all this is happening, Arturo the Despicable drugs this lady by the name of Amanda and basically becomes Bill Cosby.
You need to leave!
We then go back to Gandia, who agrees to let Nairobi go as long as our gang doesn't fight back. We quickly find out that he was lying because he kills Nairobi. Headshot. She rest in peace, Nairobi. This was one of the worst. This had to take number 1. Anyways, after Nairobi's death, Denver hits Gandia with the grenade, and Tokyo knocks him out. Then free Tokyo and inform the professor, who was supposed to help Nairobi have another child, was devastated and becomes a well-oiled machine from that point on. He then makes it public that Rio was illegally tortured by the police. The police then throw Alicia under the bus, but Alicia wasn't going like that, so she exposed the government for knowing about the torture, and then being the one that ordered her to do it. She's then fired and the police go after her. She then decides to find the professor herself, much like Raquel did back in season 2. Speaking of Raquel, Professor breaks her out of police custody and sets in motion a plan that makes the police think that Gandia needs to be rescued, but instead it was a ploy to get Lisbon, or Raquel, into the Bank of Spain, and it worked. But at the same time, Alicia finds the professor and holds him at gunpoint, and yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed that video and want to see more like it, leave a like and subscribe. Adios.